A little while ago, I got my hands on this vintage camera right here, and I've been trying to think of a good excuse to test it out and fix it up if it's not working right. Luckily, I managed to score a ticket to this year's Open Sauce, and I think that would be a perfect excuse to play around with this thing.
Wait, did he say open sauce? What on earth is open sauce?
It's kind of like a big science fair where a bunch of people from all over come and show off cool things that they've made. And there's science, tech, and engineering YouTubers, and they give panel talks, and they walk around, and you get to meet them.
Oh, is this another nerd convention?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a nerd convention. Alright. So the basics of the camera is you push this little button here, and it folds out. You have to look into this viewfinder here, the mirror. There isn't any way to see directly through the lens. And this is how you take the pictures. So this camera took what is known as 1/16 film. Don't ask me what the numbers mean, it's arbitrary. Unfortunately, they don't make that film anymore. Thankfully, you can put in what's known as 120 film. One slight problem is they're a little too short. Thankfully, you can 3D print adapters that you can stuff onto either side. And now it fits nicely into the camera. So there are two things I could think of that could go wrong with this camera, or two things that would prevent us from getting any good pictures. The first thing is, so as I mentioned, this is to take pictures. Pretty much what it does is it briefly opens and closes the shutter in here, and that exposes the film to light. When I first got this, whenever I'd press the shutter button, the shutter would briefly get stuck like halfway. As I've played around with it, it's started to move just fine, but I don't know if that will come back up as a problem. Another thing that could be wrong is I shined a light into this and saw that there were a couple teeny tiny little holes that could leak light onto the film before we're able to take a picture. I'm not sure if those are enough to ruin the picture, but we'll just have to try it out and take a look. So from my understanding, what we want to do, we gotta have this facing that way. So, off to test this thing out. First, I took a photo looking outside my window, sort of a homage to the very first photo ever. I, of course, had to do a selfie. Had to get a cat photo. Had to take a picture of my dinner. And then my wife and I took this as an excuse to just go out and walk around the park. Take that roll of film over to the camera store and wait about a week for those to be developed. There was a slight issue with the roll, but I'll get into that in a bit. Alright, the photos were developed. Let's take a look at them. So they don't look too bad. We can see the camera's working, but there's a couple issues. I'm sure the first thing you notice is, where are half the shots? Where's my homage? Where's my selfie? Where's my dinner? Where's my cat? So there was a slight hiccup of taking a roll of film out of the camera. The spool I was rolling the film onto was a 1/16 spool, and the film is a 120 film. Now, both of those can fit into the camera. The problem is, the difference between the two is how big the gap between either end of the spool is. And the person who helped me take the roll out said this might have ruined a few of the shots, and I'm kind of guessing that's what happened. You might also notice that some of the photos are overlapping each other. I looked into it, and I have a feeling it has something to do with the fact that 1/16 photos are bigger than 120 photos. So the bigger photos that it's taking are overlapping on the 120 film. Okay, so not too bad, but there's still a few things we need to do to get the camera ready for Open Sauce, which is in about 2 weeks. So, let's get back to work. I also noticed it was difficult to aim the camera, and I realized afterwards that that's probably because the viewfinder is missing a piece. I couldn't find a replacement for it, so I've got to figure out how to aim the shot. How do I aim the shot? Aim the shot. That's right, I put a red dot sight on my camera. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to take photos in my bedroom because there's LED lighting. I'm going to take photos in my bathroom because there's regular light bulbs in there. And I'm going to take photos in my living room because there's a mix of regular light bulbs and natural lighting. And in each of those, I'm going to take photos with the 2 lowest f-stop settings on the camera. An f-stop pretty much refers to how big the aperture is. And then in each of those, I'm going to take photos with the bellows covered and uncovered to see if they're leaking too much light. And at the end of all that, I'm going to take a photo of a target with my red dot aimed right at the target so that I can see where I need to aim my red dot in order to get my subject centered on the photo. And to try to deal with the overlapping issue, I'm going to put this physical mask into the camera to make the photo smaller, and that should hopefully keep them from overlapping each other. So just load up the camera again, being sure to use the 120 spool, not the 116. And let's start taking some photos. Oh, did you hear that? Yep, that was the sound of the adapter breaking inside the camera. Well, let's take a look and see what happened. Just gotta remember not to expose the film to light. Yeah, like I did just right there. So I'll open up the camera, take out all the pieces, box up the unfinished film to protect it from ruining it any further. I printed out a few different designs of the adapter and tested out each one, and it seems like these ones work the best. Okay, now just shove everything in and quickly take all the pictures. And since I'm super anxious about ruining this roll of film again, I'm gonna
put that
roll of film
in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box, and then I'll
take it to be developed.
So I'm currently at work on my lunch break, and I got a call back from the camera store, and they said that my test film turned out blank. In other words, I have no idea how the photos turn out with interior lighting, and I don't know how to adjust my aim. Pretty sure it's all because I stupidly opened up the camera when the adapter snapped and just ruined the whole film reel. I really should have just started a new roll. So let's compare the negatives to see what went wrong. The part where I opened the camera is all black. That means where there isn't anything, it's underexposed. All the photos that were ruined on the first shoot. I don't think it's coincidence that they were all the inside shots. Okay, so interior lighting isn't properly exposing the film. But why is that? What could I do differently? I tried reaching out to a few friends that might know, but they're all too busy to help me out. I need to figure this out fast, because open source is in a couple days. I think I know someone I can ask, but some of you aren't gonna like it. Hello? Anyone here? It's so dark. Is there a light switch anywhere? Ooh, spooky. Excuse me, I was wondering if you could help me with something? Hi, ChatGPT. I was trying to take photos with this camera indoors and,
It seems you were using 200 ISO film, which can indeed lead to underexposure in low light conditions, like those commonly found indoors.
Oh yeah, the ISO. How sensitive the film is to light, right?
For interior lighting, it is recommended to use a film with higher ISO like 800 ISO or even 3200 ISO, which is more sensitive to light.
Thank you. That might have actually been my problem.
Happy to help.
While 800 ISO might be a better bet, I can't find anyone nearby that sells it, and I can't get it shipped here in time. So I'll rush over to the camera shop again and pick up some 3200 ISO film, and just hope that it works. So the day was finally here, and it's time to make the long drive over to San Francisco for open source. There's a shot for the camera video. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of me actually using the camera at open source, and I was gonna make this whole animated historical reenactment, but I've taken so long in this video, I need to just get it out. Otherwise, this video is never gonna come out, or I'm gonna find myself spending 3 years on one video, and who would be crazy enough to do something like that?
The transfer just corrupted again. A few minutes for you has been most of my nights and weekends for over 2 years.
Okay, so I've got the photos, but before I show them to you, I just want to take a quick minute to talk about my experience at OpenSauce and get some use out of this footage that I got there. I had a great time. It was so cool to see all the projects that people brought and to be surrounded by so many creative individuals. I got to meet some friends in person for the first time. I even got to meet some creators that I follow. Overall, it was an amazing time and one that I seriously can't wait to do again. And for next year's OpenSauce 2025, Tangent Ideas and I are working together to make a booth that we can't wait to show you guys. I'll reveal more about it in a future video. Now, let's get on to those photos. Looks like you're a bit underexposed. I'm just gonna turn the exposure up a bit. Okay, well, I see the red dot sight didn't help me at all, which shouldn't be surprising considering I didn't know where to aim it. I'm also still seeing some weird overlapping with the photos. I was pretty sure the mask would fix that. Ah, that's probably the photo I took of Backyard Scientist. You know, aside from the underexposure, the aiming issues, and the demonic YouTubers, some of these didn't turn out that bad. And here's a quick look at the rest of the photos. So, the camera works. I mean, I'm not the best at taking photos with it yet, but it works. I do have another project in mind for this little guy, so this won't be the last you're seeing of him. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out those problems in that video. Anyway, thanks so much for watching my very first Maker YouTube video. You know the drill, like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next video.